First and foremost, I want to give call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the 12 tribes. Tuning in right now. It's your boy Quadat Banyawada, the usual reader for the Catch Captivity. You always see me reading, but in case you didn't know, I teach too. This is going to be my first lesson on the channel, taking over, right? Today we're going to be talking about temperance. To me, one of the most important fruits of the spirits, something I personally went through first coming into this walk, and this lesson I keep very close to myself, and I decide that I'll let this be my first lesson I want to share with you guys, right? So let's start it off with Galatians 5:22. Let's get it.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Chapter 23, meekness, temperance. Against such things there is no law.
Right. So let's get the blue letter for temperance. Strong's G 1466. Enkratia. Bear with me as I butcher this. I believe it says enkratia. That's try to get it. Okay, you scroll down a little bit. Right, we say self-control, the virtue of one who masters his desires and passions, especially his sensual appetites. And you can go down a little bit too. So there we go. Right. The virtue of one who masters his desires and passions, especially his sensual appetites. So we understand when we first come into this thing, right? We got to shut off this old man. Coming into this truth, shutting off the old man, there's old desires and things that we made habitual while we are in the world that we basically have to stop doing. And it ain't the easiest thing because you're so used to doing it. It's habitual. It's part of your everyday life. And you're jumping into something new, and it takes time to shed it. But the main thing with that and going through that and to overcome that is you have to have self-control. That's one of the biggest things that you need in this walk. It's the control of your spirit. Because give me a Sirach 2, Baba Bashar, real quick. Real quick. Two.
This is the book of Sirach.
Oh, 1 second. Yes, you are right. Go ahead.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
When you come to serve the Lord, you need to prepare your soul for temptation, right? Because as soon as you get into this truth, Satan's on you. He's coming with everything you got, with everything he's got, right? Right, okay, so like he's coming with everything that he's got. He's not holding back. So it's up to you to work on yourself, to have that self-control over your spirit. Because he's good at what he does. He'll tempt you to get you out of your walk or go off on your walk. You see what I'm saying? So basically what we're going to get into, what temperance is, some scriptures about temperance and how to go about, building your temperance up. First script I'm going to pull is Proverbs 16:32. Because one thing about temperance, about self-control, but what's also in the word temperance is temper. We have to control our anger because you know how the script goes. Oppression maketh a wise man mad. But there's a way of going, expressing your anger, right? Let's get it real quick.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city.
It says he that is slow to anger. It didn't say he that doesn't get angry. No, he that is slow to anger. It's okay to be mad sometimes. It's okay to be angry about something, but you got to be slow to get to that point. You can't be rah-rah from jump. You see what I'm saying? Read that again, Baba Gashal.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty.
The one who is slow to anger is better than one who is physically mighty, right? Go ahead.
And he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city.
And he that has self-control over his spirit is better than one who can overtake a city, right? Now let's get Proverbs 25 and 28. Remember that he that ruleth his spirit, right, is better than he that taketh the city. Now we're going to get into a little analogy about what it's like to not have control over your spirit. Go ahead.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit.
He that has no self-control over his own spirit, go ahead,
is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Think about it, right? When you come into this truth, you got to gird yourself with the armor. You have to protect yourself with this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we get from this book, right? So think of the visual as a city. Think of a city, and the city has to go to war. You have intruders that come. When you have intruders that come, you got to set up your defenses. You got to have a strong defense. You can't have a weak defense, because when you have a weak defense, then the intruders are going to come and overtake your city and destroy what you got. You see what I'm saying? You have to think of it like that when you're dealing with your temperance and ruling over your spirit. If you don't have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in this book, if you're not diligent, not trying to strive to be the best that you can be in this walk, like we said, Satan cometh immediately. He brings that temptation, and he's going to knock you off immediately off your walk. So you have to build yourself up. You have to build up your walls to protect your city. That city being your spirit, right? And that protection being Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that he has given us on this walk, right? Let me get Ephesians 4 and 26. I want to touch a little bit more on this anger, because I know before I came into the truth, I had a bit of a, I ain't gonna say a bit of it, I did have anger issues, just dealing with certain stuff in childhood growing up then. But before I came into the truth, I was already building myself up to the point to where I wouldn't be like that. But coming into this truth, I could say it's brought me up to a level that I thought I could never get to before. Because doing this work, we have to deal with all types of personalities and people on the block. You have people that's going to call you names, people that's going to disrespect you, really try to get to you, and people that's going to threaten your lives. But you have to have self-control. You have to have self-control, because this ain't checkers, this is chess. You do one wrong move, and that's it. And not only that, you do one wrong move, it's not only for yourself, it's for the brothers that you're standing up with as well. Remember, you're a body, and we're all on one accord. So together, we all have to work on having self-control over our spirits, right? Go ahead and bring that out, Baba Bashar.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 26. Be ye angry and sin not.
Nah, it says be not angry.
Be ye angry and sin not.
We're not Christians. We're not Catholics. They'll try to tell you, be happy, be good, let bygones be bygones. No. Some things, some people are going to transgress against you. People are going to do some things to irritate you. It's nothing wrong with being angry. You see what I'm saying? Be slow to anger, though, right? You can't just go straight to rage. That can't be your go-to, right? There's a certain way you go about being angry and expressing it. For example, basically when we do things that not necessarily going off, our sergeant, he'll get on us. He'll cuss us out. He's not going to talk to us nice like, oh, it's okay. No, he has to express his anger, because you have to understand where you went off. You have to feel the anger so you can understand where you went off and not to do it again. Because remember, like I said, we're one body. The things you do is going to affect the brothers that you're around. So when you're angry at your brother, I don't mean go and slap him. I don't mean go and hit him. I don't mean just go and say some rah-rah stuff to him, right? Go according to the scriptures and express pretty much what he did, where he transgressed, how that made you feel, right? And Lord willing, he takes the correction and corrects himself, right? It says, be ye angry and sin not. Because one thing about anger, right? You know, coming from the world, you know, it's in Leviticus 19 and 17, it talks about how we can't bear a grudge against our people. That's pretty much the go-to that we go to, right? When we become angry, right? When you're angry, you have a grudge against your brother. You know what I'm saying? Because he did some little thing. You know, in the streets, people get mad at each other just over a look. You know what I'm saying? And all other types of things. It's deep out there, right? That's why we really, really need to have self-control. You see what I'm saying? So I just say that to say it's okay to be angry. Don't let somebody tell you that you shouldn't be angry. No, it's okay to be angry, but it's a certain way that you have to go about it. Be ye angry and sin not. Go ahead.
Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Now, you can take this literal if you want to. Before the sun goes down, you should try to get over it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be angry from many days out, because that anger sits up, it builds, and usually it builds up into a grudge. You see what I'm saying? And you understand that having a grudge towards your brother is having hatred towards your brother. You know, having hatred towards your brother, you're considered a murderer. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So now let's get 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and we're going to start at verse 24 out of the NLT. Chapter 9, verse 24. Out of the New Living Translation.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 24, New Living Translation. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize?
Right. So in a race, everyone that's running, there's only going to be one winner to get that prize. Go ahead.
So run to win.
So you better be giving your best effort to get that prize, since there's only going to be one winner. You got other people, you got rivals is working as hard, even harder than you, you know, and you got to top them to get that prize. Go ahead. Go ahead. Next word.
All athletes are disciplined in their training.
All athletes are disciplined in their training, right? Discipline, having self-control, right? You have to think about this truth, not necessarily as a race. We like to say as a marathon, right? So you have to be disciplined in your training. In your training, being disciplined and diligent in these scripts, right? Go ahead.
They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize.
Now, when we're talking about this race, we have people who are just doing it for a prize. It's not going to matter in the future. It's really going to matter for that moment and a little time after that. Eventually, as time goes on and goes on, people are going to forget about what you won. People are going to forget about when you got the first place, and people are going to forget about that prize. But in this truth, right, we're going for something that's eternal and that's forever, right? The kingdom, the rulership. We're trying to avoid the second death. We're trying to contend for the faith. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
26. So I run with purpose in every step.
So I run with purpose in every step. Your next move better be your best move. Really think about it. In this walk, you have to be in constant reflection. This is something that I tell my rib a lot. This is something that I tell all my close Akio, that you stay in constant reflection. Think about what you went through the day. Think about what you went through yesterday, where you went off, what you can do better, right? That discipline training, right? You got to be real serious about this. You see what I'm saying? Make sure your next move is your best move. Have purpose in every step. Just don't walk just to walk, because you're going to gain that step for what? For nothing if you didn't give it thought, right? Go ahead.
I am not just shadow boxing.
Hey, I'm not just shadow boxing. I'm doing this for Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, man. I'm doing this for my people. You gotta understand, we gotta die for our people. That's required of us when we do this work, man. Us being out there on that line, we're risking our lives. You got cops across the street building profiles for us, taking our pictures. We're on terrorist lists. All we're doing is reading the Bible and trying to wake our people up to the true identity, right? Get them to rule over their spirits, be righteous, uphold this law, keep the faith, and endure unto the end, man. Go ahead.
I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified.
You have to feel like that you really have control of your spirit. You have to feel like that you gotta have control over your spirit. So like, you read that again, Bible shot.
26.
No, 27.
27.
So,
I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified.
you know the phrase, Salakia. You know the phrase, muscle memory, right? It's something like that. Like I said, you got to break off the old habits that you haven't had in the world, and you got to bring in these new righteous habits coming into this truth. You got to be constant with it, man. You got to be real diligent about it. You got to keep going and keep growing. It's like we said, Satan is not playing with you, man. He's trying to sift you out. He's not no level 1, level 2. Nah, man, he's the big boss. When he, like I just said, let your next move be your best move. Because best believe Satan's next move is going to be his best move to knock you off this truth, man. So you have to train up in the spirit, have discipline over yourselves, and not be tempted to go back into, the doggy dung that is stuff that we were doing in the world. Go ahead. Actually, that's it. Now let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 7, out of the GNT.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 7, GNT. Do you love justice? All the virtues are the result of wisdom's work. Justice and courage, self-control, and understanding. Life can offer us nothing more valuable than these.
There's nothing more valuable than you having self-control over your spirit, man. And how do you gain that? Through the wisdom of this book, right? Read that again, Sean.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 7. GNT. Do you love justice? All the virtues are the result of wisdom's work. Justice and courage, self-control and understanding. Life can offer us nothing more valuable than these.
Pose the question, do you love justice? What is justice according to this book? Give me Ezekiel chapter 18 and start from the top. Do you love justice?
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, chapter 1.
And read to verse 9.
1 through 9. And the word of the Lord came to me again, saying, what mean ye that you use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the father hath eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. As I live, saith the Lord God, ye shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Israel. Behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine.
Right.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
If your soul sin, it leads down to the path of death. all souls belong to the Most High, as the soul of the Father, the soul of the Son. It's up for us, being leaders, being parents, to teach our sons the righteousness of this book, to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and the faith. Right? Go ahead.
But if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right.
But if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right, do you love justice? If you love justice, that means that you love being lawful, that you love the law, and you will do which is right. Go ahead.
And have not eaten upon the mountains, neither have lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel.
So if you love justice, you love the law, then you're not going to commit idolatry. Go ahead.
Neither have defiled his neighbor's wife.
You're not going to commit adultery. Go ahead.
Neither have come near to a menstruous woman.
You're not going to have sex with your woman on her period on purpose. Go ahead.
And have not oppressed any, but have restored to the debtor his pledge.
Right. Keep going.
Have spoiled none by violence.
You're not violent towards your brother. Go ahead.
Have given his stop.
All right. Go ahead.
Salakia. Have given his bread to the hungry.
Have given his bread to the hungry. Go
And have
ahead.
covered the naked with a garment.
Supporting your people, not just by a word say, but actually by an action. Go ahead.
He that have not given forth upon usury,
Not committing usury against your people. Go ahead.
neither have taken any increase, that have withdrawn his hands from iniquity,
Take your hand from sinning. Go ahead.
hath executed true judgment between man and man.
True judgment between man and man according to the law. You got to keep your brother and yourself in check by the law according to the law. Go ahead.
Have walked in my statutes, and have kept my judgment to deal truly.
Go ahead.
He is just, he shall surely live, shall saith the Lord God.
Right. So when you walk in the Most High's statutes, judgments, you're dealing truly with your brethren, that's how you know you're on the right path and to control your spirit, having discipline in this truth. How do you do that? It starts with you keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. When you do that, you start to gain the wisdom of this book, and then so on and so forth. You're walking, and then you're running this marathon. But remember, you have to endure to the end. So you got to keep building yourself up to have that strong discipline, right? Go ahead. Salaki. Give me Psalms 37 and verse 8.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 8. Cease from anger and forsake wrath.
Like we read earlier, it's okay to be angry, but don't let the sun go down upon your wrath. Eventually, you got to cease from that anger and forsake your wrath. You can't have wrath towards your brother because that's hating your brother, right? Go ahead.
Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil.
It takes a true discipline to not let yourself go off, because anger is a very strong emotion. Anger takes over us a lot. It does. One of the biggest issues with Israel right now is having hatred towards our brothers, for brothers outside the truth and in the truth. The thing that's most dangerous about the truth, you know better. You know something wrong, but you don't want to speak up about it. Sometimes you want to sit back and you have them wicked thoughts in your head and you're going on like stuff is okay. Nah, homie. You got to cease from your anger. You have to express that. It's okay to be angry, but it's a certain way to go about it. You see what I'm saying? All right, now let's get SICARII 18 and verse 30 to 31. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. That is the goal. That is discipline. That's having self-control. Stopping yourself from going on. But you got to know what going off is before you can stop yourself from going off. Go ahead.
This is the book of SICARII, chapter 18, verse 31 and 32.
Verse 30 to 31.
30 and 31, Salaki. Go not after thy lust,
Go not after thy lust. Go ahead.
but refrain thyself from thy appetites.
Refrain thyself from them appetites. Refrain thyself from the temptations in the world. You know what I'm saying? Refrain thyself from smoking that weed. Refrain thyself from robbing that brother that's looking like a lick walking down the street. Refrain yourself from picking up that weapon and putting a bullet in the back of your brother's head off of some simple shit in the streets that easily could have been dealt with just where you and the brother could go one-on-one and talk about it. You see what I'm saying? We have to cease from this anger. We have to cease from this wrath. We also have to cease from our lust as well, man. We can't keep doing the same things we were doing in the world. You have to shut off that old man completely. That's the only way to do it. Go ahead.
31. If thou givest thy soul the desires that pleases her.
If you give up your soul to them lusts, if you give up your soul to them desires, go ahead.
She will make thee a laughing stock.
First, it's going to make you a laughing stock. You're going to be an embarrassment to somebody. Go ahead.
To thy enemies that malign thee.
Not only are you going to be a laughing stock, but you're going to be a laughing stock to your enemies, man. We're here to uphold the law. The seriousness of us teaching this truth, man. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're trying to empower our people. So we can't be out here doing the same things that we do that basically they create stereotypes to keep us down. Gang banging, drugs. It's just the tip of the iceberg. We have to build ourselves up, take ourselves away from those lusts and those habitual wicked things that we used to do in the world and come into this truth and do what the Bible commands us, what the Most High commands us, man. It's the only way. How do you think you look when you're talking about you got to keep the law? You got to love your brother. But you out there gangbanging. You out there hanging on the block, mean mugging niggas for no reason. How the hell are you going to tell a brother that you have to keep your temple clean, you can't defile your temple, but your eyes are still out there smoking weed behind the scenes, thinking that no one can see you but the Most High do? You see what I'm saying? But not only that, I'll take it to another level, right? Think about the technology that Esau has today. You have no privacy. You can see what you're doing. There's little cameras and a whole lot of little stuff. He got your algorithms on your social media, all that. You can see what you're looking at. You know what I'm saying? What makes you think he won't expose your ass when he sees you trying to empower your people, being the leader out here in the streets? You have to have self-control, not just in front of the brothers, but behind the scenes as well. Don't do it for the brothers. Do it for the Most High. Because the Most High can see what you're doing with your brothers, and the Most High can also see what you're doing by yourself as well. So build yourself up to have that self-control. Please. Because I want to get out of here. I don't know about you. I want to get out of here. I want to see the kingdom. I want to raise a family. I want to have children in the kingdom. I don't want to raise a family in this captivity, man. I don't want to continue to see my brothers that I love so much suffer in this captivity. I don't want to suffer in this captivity no more. So please, I beg you, gain that self-control. Because once we do that, how shall I going to come and crack that sky open? We out. But you have to really be doing it. You have to be serious about this, man. Give me, did you finish that? Yeah, we did. Yeah. Give me Sirach 23, verse 1 through 2.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 23, verse 1 and 2.
And also, you need to be appreciative. I'm talking to brothers in the truth, have this knowledge. You need to be appreciative every day that the Most High brought you from the world into the truth, man. Really appreciate it. The Wadi Yahweh for waking me up this morning to have a breath. It starts with that, the simplest things, on to the biggest things. The Wadi Yahweh for letting the bank hand me that loan so I can get the car, so I can get the house, so I can provide for my family. You see what I'm saying? Be appreciative. Go ahead.
Book of Sirach, chapter 23, verses 1 and 2. O Lord, Father, and governor of all my whole life.
Remember, he owns your soul. He's the father and governor of your life. Go ahead.
Leave me not to their counsels.
The why Yahweh for not leaving me to the wicked counsels of the world. The why for bringing me out that. Go ahead.
And let me not fall by them.
The why Yahweh for not letting me fall by them. Because I could have easily been killed in the streets. All of us had opportunities to lose our lives in the street before we came to this walk, man. I'd rather die for this than die for some simple bullshit in the world. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to gain something from this. I wouldn't gain nothing from dying in the world, nothing at all. At least I have a better chance of gaining a crown, gaining my salvation, gaining the kingdom. See what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Who will set scourges over my thoughts?
If you let Yahweh work on you, he will set scourges over your thoughts. But you have to open your ears. You have to listen. You have to read. You have to fall in line. Be in order. In order for you to start gaining that discipline. Yahweh will give it, man. He gives it liberally. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And the discipline of wisdom over my heart.
And the discipline of wisdom over my heart. Because where you get that discipline from? From the wisdom of this book. From the law, statutes, and commandments. So you have the blueprint on how to uphold yourself as you're going down this walk that we call the truth. Right? Go ahead.
That they spare me not for my ignorance, and it passes not by my sins.
Right. Go ahead. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 4 through 5.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verses 4 and 5. For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
How can you expect to gain this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding if you just want to do what you want to do? We have those people out there that hear that they're Israelites, and it sounds good to them. It sounds amazing. But it's only for a trend. It's only just to sound like you're smart, like you're intelligent. But you got to really be about this walk, man. Read that again, Baba Bashar. Verse 4.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
You have to make your body a living sacrifice, right, for your people, right, for Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. You can't let your body be subject to sin, because when you're in sin, you can't gain the things of this book. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit.
Go ahead.
And remove from thoughts that are without understanding.
That's right.
And will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in.
When you have the Holy Spirit of discipline, it will flee that deceit, right? It's going to remove you from the thoughts that don't have understanding. Your ignorances is going to bring you into the knowledge of what you're really supposed to do, how you're really supposed to be living, who you really are, right? And it will not abide when unrighteousness come in. So you can't let your body be subject unto sin, right? You have to be striving and thriving to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, first and foremost, right? Give me Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 17.
6, 17. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 17. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline.
For the true beginning of wisdom is the desire of discipline. If you really want that, it's like you read that again.
For the very true beginning of her,
the true beginning of gaining wisdom, right,
is the desire of discipline.
Is the desire to keep your spirit in check. You got to want to do right in order to gain this, right? Go ahead.
And the care of discipline is love.
And the care of discipline starts with you, loving your brother, loving your people, by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So you know what is wrong to do towards your brother and what is right to do towards your brother. Go ahead.
And love is the keeping of her laws.
And we know that love is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? Go ahead.
And the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption.
And when you give heed to those laws, when you give heed to those laws to work on you and give you that discipline, you have a better chance, you have an assurance of incorruption. Right? Go ahead.
And incorruption maketh us near unto God.
And incorruption maketh us near to Yahweh. Right? Go ahead.
Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom.
The desire of wisdom, which gets you to gain that discipline, to have control over your spirit, brings us to the kingdom. Give me Job chapter 36 and verse 10 down to verse 12, and we're going to close this up. Job 36.
This is the book of Job, chapter 36. Is it 12?
Start from verse 10.
Verse 10 through 12. He opened also their ears to discipline.
You got to open your ears to discipline. What does that mean? Listen. Listen to those brothers on the block that's giving you these scripts, man. Listen to the brothers on the block. It's like you listen to the brothers on the block who really have the breakdowns of this book. Listen to them. Open your ears to that discipline, right? Because those brothers on the block are supposed to be the examples of what discipline is supposed to be. Go ahead.
And commandeth that they return from iniquity.
And commanded that you return from your iniquity, man. Repent. Also, a very important thing about opening the ear is shutting your mouth. I understand you feel like you want to say something. Everybody got something to say. But for the moment, just be quiet, man. Calm yourself down. Listen so you can gain those first steps that you need to build yourself and have a strong foundation on this walk, man. Go ahead.
If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity.
If you obey and serve the Most High, you will spend your days in prosperity. You will prosper. Now, don't get it twisted. Things get rough when you come into this truth. But as long as you keep that faith and you trust in the Most High and you're doing what He commands and you're really doing your best to be the best that you can be on this walk, you best believe that you're going to prosper. You're going to go through multiple trials and tribulations. You're going to go through multiple temptations. But you have to have that self-control over your spirit in order to see that prosperity that the Most High wants to give you. He wants to give it to you, man. So let Him. Just do what He says. Open your ears to discipline and just do what He says. Go ahead.
And their years in pleasures.
And in time and time and time, you will still have prosperity. As long as you stay steady on this walk. Go ahead.
But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword.
And if you obey not, eventually you're going to meet your end. Go ahead.
And they shall die without knowledge.
And you will die without knowledge. You will die without knowing that this was the truth. That this is the place that you needed to be in order to gain that salvation. Not the Christian church. Not the Catholic church. You know, it's out here with us, the Israelites, who really have the breakdowns of this book, who really care about their people, who really love their people. Who are going to take the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, apply it to their lives, build themselves up, and teach it to their people. Because that's really what love is, man. Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and then teaching it to the people. That's what it's all about. And with that, I want to say, I hope you took these notes on these precepts. It's like, I know. You know, keep them close, you know, and apply them to your life. Because at the end of the day, you can hear them all day. You can take the notes, but you really have to be diligent and apply it to your life. And that's what it's about. And with that, I want to give call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Shalom.
Shalom.
You know, we got the Cash App at the bottom as well. You know, we also have a brother who's starting up his business. You know, brother Quadash Staffs. I don't know if you want to, you know, look up Quadash Staffs on Facebook.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Quadash SICARII. Facebook, it's the same, Quadash SICARII. Be able to locate me there if you need anything, just DM me.
Trying to look powerful on that line with a hey.
Should have it out here. That would make more sense at that point. But you know,
It's all good. Hey, you can go check out the pictures on the Instagram. Trust me, you won't be disappointed.
you could.
You can go to Instagram real quick.
Don't hate. Love us, love your brothers.
Don't trip, Bazak here. But you're in the background. Don't forget to get your tassels from Bazak as well. You know what I'm saying?
Tassels.
Oh, do me a favor. Yeah, I know. This me. There we go. Now you know where to go. So what? It's fine. I ain't got to. Don't get to follow. That's all you need to
Number
do.
print on there?
I'm not on the ground, I ain't good on the ground. We check up.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was Friday.
There we go. See that? Show them the glow in the dark one. Show them the glow in the dark one.
Yeah, that's not it.
Oh, is it not on there?
Yes.
Oh,
That's the That's it for the same.
See that?
Extra glows.
A Judite did that. Not a Benjamite, a Judite. Good with doing stuff with our hands too.
So that was very plausible.
There it goes, glow in the dark. Ain't never seen that before.
Yeah. We still here. You know what I'm saying? You know?
They ain't taking over.
They thought I was gone that one time. You know what I'm saying? I was over here chilling, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm always gonna be here. You know what I'm saying? You know? 3 LW. 3 lost witnesses. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, my bad, man. You know, we just want to promote Christ's revolution and progress. You know what I'm saying? You know, all right. You know, and the prophets, right, in righteous uniforms. All right. All right. We so group. All right, yo. Nigga, take us out. You can take us out.
Shalom.
Yeah, shalom.
Shalom.
You know, that cash up at the bottom.